Donald Trump is absolutely freaking out about a avalanche of polls, bad polls that have hit him. And I'm not just talking about like overall polls of his approval rating. Everybody knows that that's been trending down. I'm not even talking about like the issue area ones, like how on economic approval, he's at the lowest point any president has ever been at this point in their presidency, which is pretty bad. He's at his lowest point he's ever been at in nearly 5 years of being president. All that's really bad. But no, what really is making him squeal is the fact that in certain areas where back in 2024, he was bragging about how certain groups all of a sudden love him who don't normally love Republicans, that has utterly collapsed. And so we're to get to the evidence. Here first is the whining. Here he is on Truth Social saying, after winning 3 elections by a lot, which is not true. He has never won any election by a lot. He won 2 technically. I am now getting the best capital P polling numbers that I have ever received, which is, that's not only not true, but that's not even good for him. People see how strong the economy is, the trillions of dollars of investment pouring into our country, the record-setting strong border, blah, 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 ending 8 wars in 8 months. I thought it was 10. No men playing in women's sports, no transgender for everyone, which is true. I have noticed we're not transgender for everyone. Have you noticed that, JR? That's not a thing? It's not even a hypothetical thing. I don't know, what are you talking about, grandpa, with the transgender for everyone? But blah, 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 blah. So the radical left losers are fake, they're taking fake ads, not showing real polls. And so he's implying that all these polls are negative. Okay, he's free to do that. He's never accepted reality and he very much does not want his followers to. But I still acknowledge the polls, especially when it's polls that previously had shown him doing well with a certain group. Now that same poll is showing him doing poorly. It's weird that he didn't have a problem with it earlier. Weird how that works. But let's jump into some of those groups. Remember back in 2024, all of a sudden, Republican, Trump doing way better amongst Hispanic voters. This is a game changer, everybody. Except that perhaps not, because Hispanic support for Donald Trump has plunged since he started his second term. In October, just 25% of Hispanic adults now hold a somewhat or very favorable view of Trump. That is down almost 20 points from January of this year. 1 in 4 is really, really bad. And by the way, even once you look at like Hispanic Republicans, he's only at 65%. That's down almost 20 points since the beginning of this year. They were already Republicans. One would think they'd be kind of immune to all of his BS, but even they are seeing through it and their support has dropped. Let's see, the share of Hispanic respondents who believe the nation's headed in the wrong direction, that's risen from 63% in March to 73% in October. That's all going up, but it's not just Hispanic voters. Remember, black voters, black voters love Donald Trump, right? Another game changer. Democrats, you better worry about this going forward. Well, maybe going forward, but only 16% of black Americans viewed Trump favorably in this particular poll. 16%. 16% of like black Democratic primary voters supported Pete Buttigieg. That's the levels he's at right now, 16%. So we're gonna get to other demographics outside of race, but that's really bad, JR. Perhaps not surprising, but he has fallen far in just 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, we always kind of knew that this is the case, but this is the thing. Even folks who for some reason still support this guy, I'm not saying even the Latinos or the black folks, but people who support him, the white folks, the white supremacists that still support this guy. I mean, that have enhanced their support because he's doing what is it they're all about, their belief systems. Why would you want support from those Latinos that every day you call illegals, rapists, drug dealers, run up in your house, taking away your jobs? You have nothing but negative views of them. Why do you want positive results from people that you don't think should exist in this country? That if they're here, if they have an accent, if they speak Spanish, that they should be kicked out? That doesn't even make any sense. And black folks, this president, since his whole existence in public life, has been against black folks. He says that they're criminals. He said that black folks don't have a place in society. Everything that they do is DEI based. They don't have full brain capacities. Any professionalism that they're a part of shouldn't be something that they're in because they're not as smart. They just have a different kind of genetics. Why would you want support from those subhumans that you call subhumans every day? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
they expect some kind of positive reaction from people that they give nothing but negativity to. Now, we know during the campaign, they lie their asses off and say that there's all this support and they're willing to do all this stuff for these groups of people. But now that they're in power, they don't care anymore. There's no, it honestly just doesn't make any sense. And one other thing. Yeah. He's now muting the next thing for polling because he doesn't like it anymore. Everything that sucks that he does, he mutes. Bureau of Labor Statistics, now this polling. But also, I'm not sure if you heard this, but Ron DeSantis and his folks in Florida are muting these. There was an online portal that showed the number of interactions between actual American citizens that they say nobody's being swept up in these ICE sweeps and being arrested or detained. And when it was discovered that there's all these numbers on their own portal, they decided to go ahead and mute that as well and shut down that portal because that's how these guys operate. That's what fascists do. They eliminate the information that doesn't work for their agendas.
Yeah, facts don't care about your feelings, but they care about mine, and my feelings are hurt, so I'm getting rid of that data. Yeah, remember on the DOJ website, they took down all those studies about right-wing political violence. They just got rid of it. Again, they don't like that there's inconvenient truths, and so they get rid of them. So yeah, so all of that is true. Let's talk about one more group. This is the third leg of the tripod of Donald Trump's coalition being so different than the other Republicans, and that would be young voters. Remember, Donald Trump went on podcasts. Donald Trump danced on TikTok. Donald Trump is beloved by Gen Z. Well, beloved very much in the past tense because in the past week or so, his support was at 25%. Again, it was 16% for Black Americans, 25% for Hispanic Americans, 25% for Gen Z. 67% disapproval. So he's always actually been negative with them. People seem to forget that, but it's getting worse. He's at net negative 42. In August, he was at net negative 37. He was at 47% approval last November. So he's dropped by 22 points in 11 months. He's dropped like 5 points just in the last 2 or 3 months. So in those three groups, these are people who I think were feeling the struggle. They were feeling like, I don't like Biden's not fixing things fast enough. I don't necessarily have faith that Harris will. So I'm gonna roll the dice on Donald Trump. And they rolled it. And they're looking at the dice right now and they're like, nope, we're not gonna be doing that anymore. And so there's no interest in Donald Trump. And if you're a Republican, you can either take stock of that and maybe learn something. Like look into why they say they don't approve anymore. It's in all these polls, economic situation, the chaos, all of that, seeing the mass deportation. Like you could learn something from this, or you could stick your head in the ground being Truth Social, and just believe that it's all fake. And the only truth you'll hear will be from Donald Trump's mouth. You can do that instead if you want.